My guys and girls, welcome back. I hope you're still feeling pumped after that win against Leicester last night, because today we got some big stories emerging from the Bundesliga. It seems like we may be planning a potential triple raid in that league, and we're going to hear the latest reports surrounding JADON Sancho. After that, we turn towards Wolfsburg, where we're interested in two of their big stars this season, in LACROIX and in WEGHORST as well. So I hope you guys do enjoy. It's going to be big stories today. Smash that like button, help me get over 2,000 likes. And before I get into anything, I want to give a massive shout out to the whole L series for, of course, having me featuring on. And in this week's episode, we discussed who were some of the biggest flops in the Premier League. Yes, I'm about to play you guys a very brief clip.
He's missed so many one-on-one chances, so many big chances that could have turned the game for Chelsea, could have turned them into title contenders earlier in the season, and he flopped. 6 Premier League goals, Flav, is terrible. There's some players on the subs bench for teams that have scored more Premier League goals this season, or any season, than Timo Werner. It's embarrassing. He, for me, is not only the worst Premier League signing this season, probably the worst in Europe.
You know what? For me, even though Werner has had his difficulties, he has had them this season, we've seen them. I think his goal scoring output hasn't been good enough, and he has missed too many good chances that, you know, you just can't forgive them at times. But at least he has provided a positive input for the team. His assists have been crucial. For a team like us that exclusively wins by 1-0 or 2-0, you know, those actions become even greater. And for those reasons, it's why Werner is not the biggest flop. There are bigger flops this season, and for me, one of the big ones has to be Van der Beek, who can't even get in the team. So that's my opinions, you guys. Of course, if you want to back it, show some love, you'll find the full episode link in the card above and in the description below. And now, I feel like it's time to discuss the first big story, and I'm going to discuss the latest news surrounding JADON Sancho, followed by the Wolfsburg news afterwards. So, we got some reports coming out in England, and it seems like Thomas Tuchel is a massive fan and admirer of the young Englishman, and for very good reason, you guys. Now, we do know that last summer United came extremely close signing Sancho, however, but in the end, they ran out of time and they missed Dortmund's deadline. It seems like this summer, though, we are very keen to do better with Man United to sign Sancho, and it seems like it's only going to take a move of up to £80 million to get this signing completed. Now, of course, his value is going to drop from last season where he had another year in his contract, so, you know, he becomes more attractive, and maybe this could be the same energy used for potential hoarder moves for next summer. But anyway, let's continue more with JADON Sancho, because for me, the guy is 21 years old and he's recording double digits for goals and assists. I mean, who is doing that at 21? It seems like he's been around for a while now, and it just really screams to you the talent, the brilliance that is JADON Sancho. Recently, he scored 2 goals in the German Cup final to beat RB Leipzig, and even though he started the season off slowly, I think due to that slow start, people started to kind of forget about him a little bit. He wasn't getting spoken about with the same love and hype as last season. Sancho has definitely come a long way since, and I think we have to understand, you know, when you are mentally ready to leave a club thinking the deal's about to get done and it doesn't happen, then obviously it's going to take a little bit of a toll. And you know what, on top of that too, when people saw Sancho at no gym, you know what I mean, looking a little bit overweight at the start of the season, I feel like maybe that's why some people started to write him off a bit. But with talent like this, you can never do it, you guys. And I'm going to be real, I think I was real last summer, and I'm going to just repeat my stance here, but when we were linked with him and Kai last summer, for me, the only guy I wanted to see, the number one, was JADON Sancho. I wanted him over Kai Havertz. I think that with us, Sancho suits our team more. We need a guy that is comfortable being his man, creating something out of nothing, creating space for others, driving at opponents, who can score goals outside the box, inside the box, and set his teammates up as well. I think they're the type of attacking players that always do well with us, and I feel like our team desperately needs a profile like this. Now that we're seeing Kai Havertz being used in a more number 9 role, I feel like if we're signing Sancho, then surely that implies that maybe a move for a big name forward might not be happening. And if that's the case, that could definitely benefit Kai Havertz, because otherwise, what is the real use of him? We're not really going to ever use him behind the strikers in like a 4-2-3-1 or something like that. And out wide, you probably use Ziyech over him and Hudson-Odoi or Pulisic. So if we go for Sancho, this would imply to me that we aren't going to sign a striker, and this would give plenty of time for Kai Havertz to really acclimatise to that role, because for me, if you're investing this much money in him, give him a full season to show what he's about. Give him a full season. That's what I'm asking for. But regardless of that, you guys, if he was signed, what would this mean for the rest of the players in the team? In particular, I'm looking at the attacking players, and for me, number one, we can't sell any attacking players we signed last summer. They need time. You know, if people think we should sell Ziyech, I think that's a bit short-sighted because he hasn't played for a year due to the Eredivisie season cancelling early due to COVID. For me, he needs the time. I think one player whose future could be in doubt though, as it was unironically back during Dortmund, would be Christian Pulisic, because even though he has extreme promise, this season hasn't been the greatest. And he does have certain limits, and the biggest limitation I think Pulisic has, unfortunately, is his body constantly breaking down. You know, coaches want to be able to rely on having players, because when you're prepping and planning for a season, you've got to think games in ahead. And if you've got a player that, you know, you're constantly having doubts whether he's going to be fit or not, that's going to cause some issues. And I think with Sancho, that is something that we don't really have to worry about. But, you know, I feel like this would be the best time to end this first story. Sancho, this season, 19 goals, 15 assists in all comps. Would you sacrifice Pulisic, for example, to sign Jadon Sancho? Yeah, I know I said it, you guys, but in the comments below, give your thoughts and opinions. And before we continue on to the other two stories, you guys, I want to quickly plug in, if you're interested in wanting to buy the new home season kit, I'm your guy, I'm your plug. In the description below, you'll find all the relevant affiliate links. Click on them, and if you do, you get access to my 10% off discount codes, Nini10. Right now, more options are being released on the club's mega store. We're seeing new training gear, so you'll definitely find something that you want. And as I said, use my code Nini10 to get 10% off your final order. Now, we move on to one of the surprisingly big stories that has come out over the past 24 hours, and it's in regards to, yet again, another talented young French centre-back. I mean, my God, like, this must be the worst time in football history to be a French centre-back, because you've got competition for days. It's never ending. This time though, we are looking at a particular one from Wolfsburg. He goes by the name of Maxon LACROIX. Wolfsburg signed him for 4.5 million from Sochaux last season, and already he could be sold for 6 times what they bought him for. LACROIX is 21 years old, 6'3". He's tall, he has an elegant style, he's lean, and he's deceptively fast and very good physically. He has been a mainstay in the Wolfsburg defense, playing alongside Brooks, forming a pretty formidable back four in Babu, Rulerson, LACROIX, and of course Brooks. And Castells behind them. That is a good team that's ready for Champions League next season. Today's news does state that Thomas Tuchel is a massive admirer as well and wants to sign him for next summer because he wants to bring in another centre-back. Now, LACROIX has the profile that would definitely complement our game and how we play. And what's very interesting is that his contract expires in 2024. He could leave for around 30 million euros, and at this point in time, he does not want to commit to any new contract extensions. So could this news really just be, pushing it even more that LACROIX is ready to move on and, step up in his career? I think so. And I think right now I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions behind the story, because you know what? I do think there's definitely promise and talent with this particular defender. I've been hearing about his progress throughout the season, how he's been performing so well, beating expectations, surprising many of his teammates as well. And when you analyze this game, it's easy to see why. Of course, tall, fast, plays positive football, plays over 4 long passes a game, predominantly finding his teammates down the right hand side, which is something we see our centre-backs constantly doing, finding the wing-backs or wingers down either flank. On top of that, he plays between the lines, he plays the forward passes, and he's very aggressive. He's one of those defenders that instead of dropping off to defend against someone, he is comfortable leaving his defensive line because his timing, anticipation, and reading the game is that good where, for a team like us that wants to counter press and win those balls back, you want a centre back that can leave his line and win a ball high up the field. These are some of the interesting attributes that he has to his game, but no, we can't forget as well, he's only 21 years old and it's not like his game is perfect. One thing he can definitely improve upon actually would be some of his defending in the wide areas. At times when someone's running at him, you know, his tackling success rate does drop in those areas compared to when he's a lot more central in the field. On top of that as well, his aggressiveness, he could time that even better. He could learn to improve that even more. But, you know, for me, when you look at players under the age of like 23 years old in centre-back positions, you go in with knowledge that, okay, what is the potential they have? What do they have that I can maximise, that I can improve, that I can add to their game to take them to the next level? And I definitely think LACROIX has that potential to be, you know, one of the big names in European football. However, we can't forget, and I know some of you guys might roll your eyes, but you guys know I'm consistent with it. We have some extremely talented young defenders ourselves. For example, imagine a hypothetical, yeah, where Tomori was playing for Wolfsburg. You'd imagine him being going for like 40, 50 million now in the market. And I say this because we have a young defender who picked up a Man of the Match awards in a playoff game, Swansea vs Barnsley. His name's Mark Guy, and considering how improved the championship is, we're seeing players making a step up and having big impacts in the Premier League. It's completely different to what it used to be. The fact he is making a name for himself and being one of the leaders in the second division tells me that he has the potential for us to work with him, give him the game time and use him. I don't see why we have to constantly turn towards the market when we have one of the best academies in the world and we have excellent options in defence. I think Mark Guy deserves a pre-season for Tuchel to work with him. Excellent on the ball, excellent composure, good in the air. And interestingly enough, LACROIX actually isn't amazing in the air. He's good, he can definitely improve, but already that's an aspect in Guy's game that he has pattern already. So, you know what, it wouldn't sit right with me. I'm sorry, that's my personal opinion on this. I know I gotta be objective, but nah, it wouldn't sit right with me. And right now, we end things with the final story today, and we look at LACROIX's teammate in Werkhuis, and I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, Werkhuis. Regardless, he is a Dutch striker who's had, you know, many good seasons now at Wolfsburg ever since he left AZ Alkmaar to sign for them. This season he's picked up 20 goals, 7 assists, and you know, he's one of those guys who just seems to improve every single season. Now, it could be unsurprising the fact that when he made his step up in the game, he didn't come from like the traditional academy setup. Instead, he first started in a 9th division team in Holland, and since then, you know, he's only grown and improved. And you know, it's unsurprising that he gets a lot of comparisons with Jamie Vardy, and it's not due to the fact that it's like this explosive pace, but more the mentality, more how he likes to play, that bravery, that, you know, never say die type of attitudes. And he's one of those guys that adds more to his game as seasons go on. I mean, this season he's become more of a focal point, bringing his teammates into the game, and you know, this guy is a towering striker. I mean, humongous. Us, Dortmund and Tottenham are all monitoring the player for a potential move. But for me though, even though he definitely is a good player, we can't get that wrong. He's a good player. I love his story. I love stories like that. Is he a big upgrade to Tammy Abraham? Because for me, if we're letting players go, we're signing upgrades, not players that could play a part that, you know, could be a little bit of a gamble. We need certified upgrades that we're going for. And I don't know, I don't think that Werkhuis really is the upgrade to what we have. I think if you put Tammy Abraham in that Wolfsburg team, he's probably getting the same numbers, maybe even a little bit more. And, you know, I don't want to see us make the same mistakes we normally do. Just going in the market for names over trusting what we have, believing in what we got. We can't make that same mistake time and time again. Of course, with his frame, his aerial prowess, his finishing, you know, he definitely has attributes we're looking for, but at the same time, I think a bit more mobility is what we need up front. And when you have guys like Lukaku on the market, I think they're the ones you turn to. But anyway, let's see what happens with these stories. Our love affair with Bundesliga players continues to grow, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. So on that note, you guys, I am Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.